It seems like the NBA is filling with more and more talent every year. I had a lot of players that I thought were going to make the All-Star team, but when it was time to decide the teams, they just couldn't fit in. This year, the NBA has the most talents that it has had in a long time, and that made these decisions really tough to make. In this video, we cover who I think will be starters, who will be reserves, and players who just missed the cut. Welcome to the channel. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button to get quality NBA content, and best of all, to join this amazing basketball family. Starting in the East, at my first guard spot, I have Jaylen Brown. With Jason Tatum out and Kemba Walker failing to live up to expectations, he has played phenomenally and has led the Celtics. He has taken a huge leap since last year and has been putting up career highs in almost every major category, and has been shooting the ball 52% from the field and 42% from three. He went from being an all-star snub last year to a starter this year. For the next guard spot in the East, I have Kyrie Irving. He has led the underperforming Celtics and has been injured recently, and a lot of people forgot who he is, and he's showing them this year. I honestly think he's the second best player on the Nets. Not individually, but on the team, I think he is the second option. James Harden has been playing passive on the Nets, and Kyrie Irving is looking like the second option most times, and he has the space to do what he needs to do. He has been putting up great numbers on great efficiency this season, and has just looked unstoppable overall. With the first front court spot in the East, I have Kevin Durant. He is also on the Nets and has been the clear first option on this contending team. He has been looking unstoppable so far and has been in MVP contention. He has come off an Achilles injury and has been looking great this season. He has returned better than ever and is changing our expectations for players coming back from injury. He's been putting up 30 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists a game on 53, 45, 87 shooting splits. One of the most underrated part of KD's game this season is his defense. The Nets' defense is terrible, and Durant sometimes has to guard the other team's best player and has actually been doing a pretty decent job. My second pick out of the front court players out east is Giannis Antetokounmpo. He won the last 2 MVPs and last year's Defensive Player of the Year, so it's a no-brainer to put him in here. He has had a rough start to the season for his expectations at least, but he is so good that he easily gets a starting spot. To close out the East starters, I have Joel Embiid. He has easily been the most dominant player this season and has a huge impact on his team. Last year, he wasn't as aggressive and kind of took a step back from the year prior. Now, he's been looking better than ever and is leading his team to a top record in the East. His impact is felt on both ends of the court, and he's making a case for the best center in the NBA. The first starting guard in the West, Stephen Curry. So many people called this season a wrap for Steph after the first 2 games. And he's been proving the haters wrong this season, and he's actually being a dark horse MVP candidate. The Golden State Warriors are on pace to make the playoffs in the tough Western Conference, thanks to Steph. They have no real all-star caliber players besides Curry, and he's doing an amazing job leading the team. After the departure of Kevin Durant and the injury of Klay Thompson, he has been playing like his unanimous MVP self and is putting up 30 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists a night on 49, 43, 93 shooting splits. The second starting guard spot in the West goes to Damian Lillard. After his team battled injuries to players like Rocco, Nurkic, and CJ, Damian Lillard continued to lead his team in the direction of the playoffs in the tough West. He has been a great leader for this team and deserves credit where credit is due. He has been putting up averages of 29, 7, and 5 on shooting splits of 45, 39, 93. I would say that the starting guard spot in the West was one of the hardest spots to choose from, and it says a lot for Curry and Dame to be up there. And for the first front court player in the West, I have LeBron James. Now, LeBron James is so good, he is chasing Michael Jordan. He's not even chasing all-star appearances anymore. And he has such a good team that he doesn't even need to go all out in the regular season. As long as he has a top record in the West, he doesn't have to go all out. At his age, it's crazy what he's doing, and he needs his rest. But we all know LeBron turns it up in the playoffs. He has been playing at career low minutes at 34 minutes per game at the recording of this video, but he has still been very impactful and is putting up great stats. This season, he has been putting up 26, 8, and 8 on relatively good efficiency. At the second front court spot in the West, I have Kawhi Leonard. A lot of people have actually been underrating Kawhi Leonard this year. After an embarrassing Game 7 against the Nuggets, he has been receiving so much criticism to the point where he's slightly underrated. People forget that he was the most consistent player last postseason besides that one game. He was putting up 30 points a game with stellar defense and was leading the Clippers when Lou and Trez were playing terrible and Paul George was being pandemic P. He has been having one of the best seasons. He has quietly been having one of his best seasons of his career and is leading the Clippers to a top record in the whole league. And in the final starting front court spot in the West, I have Nikola Jokic. After an amazing run in the playoffs last year, he has continued this trend and is a top player in the NBA today. He is by far the best passing big man in the NBA and is arguably the best playmaker in the whole league. He is leading Denver to a top record in the tough Western Conference, and most people have him as the best center in the league, and that's for good reason. And back to the East, we're going to dive into the reserves. So the first reserve in the East is Bradley Beal. First of all, I really wanted to put him as a starter, but something was holding me back. If I wanted a star to build my team around, I personally would choose Jaylen Brown or Kyrie Irving before him. But I don't want to seem hateful towards Beal, and I was so close to putting him as a starter. The All-Star selection, to me, is based on individual success, and there is a difference between holding a player back due to his lack of success and wanting one player over another to build the team around. Again, this is an individual award, and that's why I was so close to putting him as a starter. So far this season, he has been playing great. He has been putting up 33 points, 4 assists, and 5 rebounds a game on 47, 33, 89 shooting splits. As bad as the Wizards are, they would be a lot worse without Beal. The second reserve in the East is James Harden. We all know what he's capable of, and it's more than what we are seeing this year. But we have to base him off of what he's presenting to us, not the potential we know he could show. He didn't try at all in Houston this year, and when he came to Brooklyn, he kind of took a back seat. You could tell that he's trying to be more like a playmaker and not the first option scorer like he was in Houston. He's also been playing passively as of recently, which hurt his case to be a starter. Even with all this in mind, he has still been playing great and is very deserving of an All-Star selection. The next All-Star reserve in the East I have is Jason Tatum. And a player like him is really good and he could be a starter, but there's no way he's going to take out KD, Giannis, or Embiid. They're pretty much locks for the starting front court players in the East. And he has been out for a while, but when he is on their team, they are winning and they look a lot better. Like for the eye test, he's really impactful for the Celtics. And one thing about Tatum, you could argue he is the best bad shot maker in the whole league. He takes what many NBA players seem to be bad shots, and when he's making them. He looks really good. And Jason Tatum has been really good this season, and he has a ton of moves in his bag and is really unstoppable. Another reserve in the East is Bam Adebayo. He has been playing better than he was last year, and last year he was an All-Star. And although the team may not have been doing that good so far this season, he has made the team what they are. Without him, and Jimmy Butler has been out, but without Bam for that stretch, I don't think they'd be good at all. They wouldn't even make the play-in tournament in the East. He has been helping the Heat be what they are right now. And he has Defensive Player of the Year caliber defense, and he can guard positions 1 through 5 very well. He's very quick on his feet, and on offense, he's very light on his feet too. I think he's the second best passing center in the NBA right now. That's probably the most underrated part of Bam's game. Another reserve in the East I have is Jimmy Butler. And he has been injured for a while this season, and I wasn't really sure if I could add him in here, but I do think he's been playing enough games. when he's out, the Miami Heat hasn't been playing that well, and when he's back, his impact he brings to that Miami Heat team is amazing. His impact goes way beyond the box score, and a lot of people just see 20 points a game, and then he also sees other players score way more than that, but his impact is so valuable on this team. Everyone uses that phrase, but Jimmy Butler is on another level. Another reserve in the East I have is Domantas Sabonis, and I think he is a no-brainer for an All-Star because he made the All-Star team last year and he's only playing better. The Indiana Pacers don't really have a clear-cut leader or superstar on the team, and I think Domantas Sabonis has been the leader. He is amazing in the post, he's amazing on the glass, and he's one of the best passing big men in the NBA. For the last reserve spot in the East, this one was a really tough decision to make. Probably one of the hardest decisions to make in this whole video. Now, I was thinking it was either going to be Trae Young or Zach LaVine. Now, both of these players have been elite scorers this season, one of the league's best, and LaVine has been scoring a little bit more. And defensively, they are both bad, but Trae Young's flat out terrible. Zach, at the recording of this video, the Bulls have one less win than the Hawks, and that's it. Imagine the Bulls without Zach LaVine. They would be terrible, one of the worst in the league. But Zach LaVine has been carrying this Bulls team, and I think it would be flat out disrespectful to not add him in the All-Star team. And into the reserves in the West. Now, the reserves, say I made a team of the reserves, like the best 5 players from the reserves, they are so good, I think they could put up a fight against the starters. That's how amazing the West is right now. So, the first reserve I have is Donovan Mitchell. Now, I really wanted to put him as a starting guard in the West, but I just don't see him taking out Curry and Dame. But Mitchell has been leading the Jazz to the best record in the NBA. When they first got that number 1 seed in the whole league, I thought, yeah, this is just going to happen for a few nights. But at the recording of this video, it has been going on for like a week. They have won 17 out of their last 18 games, and Donovan Mitchell has been the clear lead. The next reserve in the West is Luka Doncic, and this was so hard because for the starting guard spot, they all deserve it. Curry, Dame, Mitchell, and Luka. I really felt bad on leaving Luka and Donovan out, but I don't think they're on that upper echelon of Dame and Curry. And Luka has been amazing. Our expectations for him going into this season was just so much, and so many people had him winning the MVP. And with the Mavericks missing Porzingis for a while, that really hurt them, and they didn't really have a good record. Right now, they're just outside of the playoffs, and even when Porzingis is back, he hasn't been looking as good as everyone thought he would. And so it's all up to Luka, and you can't demand all that from a guy in his 3rd year in the NBA. He has been playing amazing, putting up 28 points, and I wish he could make the starting spot. My next reserve is Paul George, and after last postseason, he has been getting a lot of hate, and throughout this season, he's been proving the doubters wrong. He has been helping Kawhi Leonard tremendously lead the Clippers to one of the best records in the whole league. PG-13 has been awesome, being a scoring machine, and he's shooting very efficient so far this season. Another reserve in the West is Anthony Davis, and Anthony Davis, similar to LeBron, hasn't really been chasing that all-star selection this year. It looks like he's been taking a step back, but you could tell he's not going all out in the regular season. Him being teammates with LeBron James, they know they need to perform in the playoffs and don't need to go all out in the regular season. That's why he wasn't a starter, but he has still been very good and has been one of the top candidates for the Defensive Player of the Year. Another reserve in the West is Rudy Gobert. And When people look at the box score and they don't watch Utah Jazz games, they see Gobert put up 14 points. That doesn't tell you anything. His defensive impact is amazing. It is amazing. Sure, you could draw him out to the 3-point line, and he may not be as good there, but he's a staple on the Utah Jazz and on defense, and he has been the clear second option and the second best player on the Jazz that, again, has the best record in the NBA and has won the last 17 of their last 18 games. Gobert has been playing awesome, and his impact is helping the team tremendously. He was an all-star last year, and the box score may not look like it, but he's been playing a little bit better this year. Another reserve in the West is Devin Booker. Now, after the 8-0 run in the bubble, a lot of people expected him to make the playoffs, and then they added CP3, and he was for sure going to lead the Suns to the playoffs. Right now, if the season ended, they would be making the playoffs, and Booker has been playing amazing. He hasn't taken a huge leap or anything, and he has been actually sacrificing some of his game to let CP3 handle the ball more and do some playmaking for other players on his team. So it looks like he's taken a step back, but he hasn't. The last reserve in the West I have is Brandon Ingram. Last year he made the All-Star team, and he has similar production so far this year. Although the Pelicans haven't been playing as good as many people thought, Brandon Ingram has been their go-to guy. He has an amazing mid-range game, and he just looks unstoppable on offense. You can argue he's the best player on the Pelicans, and he's deserving of this last All-Star spot. And we're moving on to the snubs. We're going back to the Eastern Conference, and the best of the snubs is probably Trae Young. And I thought for sure he was going to make the All-Star team, not even a question. But when it was time to make this team, I just don't know who I'd take him over. It's really close between him and Zach LaVine, but the Hawks have a significantly better roster than the Bulls, and they only have one more win than the Bulls. The other snubs in the East I have are Tobias Harris, which is looking really good in Philly, and at times can look like the second option on the team behind Joel Embiid. Another snub is Chris Middleton. He's been quietly having a crazy efficient year, having similar production but even better efficiency than last year. And Colin Sexton. He's had a hot start to the season, but I'm not going to say he's regressing, but that just wasn't sustainable. So these are my All-Star snubs in the East. Let's move on to the West. In the West, there are a bunch of snubs, and all of these you can make a case to make the All-Star team. You have DeMar DeRozan, who is leading the Spurs to a playoff seed and is playing phenomenally. You have Zion Williamson, which is arguably the best player on the Pelicans in front of Brandon Ingram. You have Christian Wood, that has had a breakout year and is looking amazing in Houston. Chris Paul, he's had amazing effect on Phoenix, and he still brings the same energy that he has done for pretty much all of his career. And John Morant, he's been a great leader, and he's taking that next step now that he's in his sophomore year. And CJ McCollum. And there you have it. Those are my picks for the NBA All-Star starters, reserves, and honorable mentions. All-Star results will be coming soon, and I'm super curious to see who makes the cut and who doesn't. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Subscribe for future basketball content, and thank you for watching.